This episode is sponsored by Struggling to Assemble a Moving Box.
This episode is also brought to you by Jeremy Renner's Weird Ass Rock Band. This is Sorry for the Wait. Here we go! Fired up, ready to go. Welcome to the show, folks. This is Sorry for the Wait, a weight loss podcast for regular people, by regular people. I am your host, Seth.
And I, of course, am your host, Strawberry.
Wow, that was a lot. The energy's high.
I know. I'm excited, man.
A lot of energy, a lot of focus. We are, as we record this, we are in the midst of moving apartments.
Yeah.
Which, as we are now learning in the world of podcasting, is horrible logistics. But I think we're handling it well.
Honestly, this is my favorite move that I've ever done because we're moving literally just upstairs in our building to a different unit. And it reminds me of like when we would have to move at camp. We would just have to like just move our shit from one point to another point. We don't have to like load it all onto a truck or do any of that annoying shit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of weird because I did this move once where I moved from my one bedroom in this building to the two bedroom that we live in now. And now we're going to the 3-bedroom that we're going to live in. Like, moving on up in the building is definitely a nice sign of life progression.
Yeah, but now we got to make them come up with a 4-bedroom.
Yeah, I know.
Plan.
We're essentially just going to build our own condo on the roof. But I'm really excited about this because we're going to have space for our own studio.
Woohoo.
Like, we're going to make a studio instead of like this makeshift shit that we're doing right now.
Right behind the couch.
Right, exactly. So I'm definitely excited about that. Like, it's definitely just, I can't believe it's here.
I know.
It's kind of wild.
It kind of snuck up on us. One of our friends was asking, like, I feel like you guys are moving soon and you're just being very subtle about it and we won't know until you're moving.
Well, I feel like a lot
and
of
I was like, yeah, we're moving Thursday.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the stress is just taken away that we're only going up one floor. We're just going up the fucking stairs. And so...
Well, an elevator. Let's not go too crazy.
Yeah, but some things will take the stairs because we're active now. But hey, speaking of being active and speaking of just high energy, how was your week?
Pretty good. Actually, speaking of stairs, I was going to bring up the stairs because this week I've kind of noticed that now when I go out for my walks, I come up and I try to just run up the stairs and I like end my workout when I'm at the top of the stairs.
Right.
I used to be like completely out of breath just like walking up those stairs.
Yeah, gassed.
And it really it's like a very clear indicator of where I am now that I can run them all up. And yes, I still end up out of breath, but I can actually take them at a run.
Right, exactly. Like you know that you can handle the stairs. Like I think it's so funny you say that because on my notes here for my week, I wrote that for like the past like 4 or 5 days, I've instinctively taken the stairs.
Yeah, it's always been something that like you have to avoid like the plague if you're you know, too big to like comfortably do it regularly.
Well, like I don't know if you ever had this like in college, like when you were going to college, but like I remember this vividly all the time my freshman year down at UF where I would be walking with somebody who was in my class, like, God forbid it was like a cute girl that I was into or like.
And then you walk up the stairs and you have to pretend you're not dying.
And then she's like, you want to just take the stairs? And I'm just like, yeah, that's totally fine. We're totally cool. And then I have to walk up those stairs. And then like I get to the top and I'm like.
I always had this like kind of like breathing habit I tried to develop where like it was almost like, you know what, you can deprive your body of enough oxygen right now. Just wait until you get into another room where nobody can see you gasping
where you can
for air.
hyperventilate. Because like I used to get to the top of the stairs like with anyone who I was walking with, and they'd be like, "Are you all right?" And I am drenched in sweat and just convulsing at this point. I'm like, I'm good.
I don't think there was ever a point in my life where I was any more self-conscious of my weight than right after getting to the top of the stairs.
Yeah, exactly. And now like to be taking the stairs like and just be like, yeah, it's the fucking stairs. Like it's kind of like that's super weird.
It's like the definition of like the small victories because like imagine going to anyone and being like, I was able to walk up the stairs. Right. Like they'd be like, great. So it's like, did you need a scooter in Walmart?
Yeah, cool, man. Like, I closed this massive deal at work, but good for you on those stairs, man. But those are the little things. Like, it's appreciating the little victories. That's good. That's good. So, anything else big?
I hit my 75-pound mark, but
let's go.
I'm starting to kind of like get almost like burnt out by the benchmarks. I feel like last week I was like, oh, I just passed 70, and now I'm like, oh, I just passed 75.
Right.
And next week like, now I've passed 80. Like I gotta kind of like zoom out a little bit more and not like give myself an attaboy for every like, You know, I mean, an attaboy is good, but like oh, I accomplished something brand new that's awesome is like.
I mean, that's
getting a little old.
It's super funny too, because
for me at least.
I remember at one point when I was doing Weight Watchers, like, and I was going to the meetings, and it was all women. I was the only male, like, at this meeting, and so I was losing weight like really, really fast, and so it was like every meeting, it was like, and here's Seth's 10-pound star, here's Seth's 20-pound ribbon, like all this shit, and like I could definitely feel weird every week walking in, and someone's like, "What are you gonna get this week?" And then I quickly like.
It's funny because
fell off that shit real quick.
I also did Weight Watchers when I was younger. My mom brought me, and she actually lost 50 pounds on Weight Watchers. I did not lose 5 pounds on Weight Watchers.
Really?
I went in every week, and every week they weighed me, and like sometimes they would give me that like, oh, you lost 0.2 pounds.
Yeah.
And I really feel like it was just that it was so unstructured, which like the fact that now I'm pretty unstructured and it's working for me.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a weird
thing. But it was just so unstructured. I remember vividly sitting in a meeting and being like, yeah, you know, I was really craving McFlurry. And the lady running the meeting, and like, you know, I get that this was coming from a good place, but she was like, you know, oh, you don't deprive yourself from that stuff. Like, if you want that, that's what those like extra points are for. Your weekly 35 points.
Right.
You know, so if you want that McFlurry, go get that McFlurry. And in my head, I'm just like, I haven't lost 5 pounds here, and you're telling me if I want a McFlurry to eat a McFlurry,
right?
Like, that wasn't helpful just for the I think the mental aspect of like the binge eating.
And I think you were like being that young. Like I really like the way that they structure their stuff now, like in the sense of like, here's the list. Like there's a bunch of like there's this massive list of like 100 different things that are like 0 points like on their point scale, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool because it's like a food bank. Like these are all kind of things like that, and I appreciate like that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Question about Weight Watchers for you, just from, I want to pick your marketing brain for a second. Do you think that it was a good move for them to shorten Weight Watchers to WW?
No.
Which as an acronym, it's literally more syllables to say WW than to say Weight Watchers.
This was one of the most frustrating things of all time, like with like in my marketing brain, is just, I was like, why are we pronouncing more things for something that's 2 letters now? That was the wildest thing to me. But I understand like they wanted to just like make it smaller, like, and also like when you abbreviate to WW, then it encompasses more. Like it doesn't have to be just Weight Watchers. We watch our weight. Like it's more of like a full circle kind of thing. And so I get it from that point. It was definitely just funny just seeing it go straight down to WW.
Yeah, I guess maybe my bigger problem is the fact that, like, why does W have so many damn syllables, man? Yeah, like, every other letter is 1 syllable. All right, so how was your day or week?
How's my day? Yeah, no, my day has been busy. We've just been packing boxes and moving shit. But you know what? My week was good. I mean, another 2 pounds this week. So I'm very pumped about that. 125 now, which is just, I mean, still like it's funny. Like,
so now we've actually both combined over 200.
Yeah, that's wild. Like, or actually, yeah, I mean, if you
right on the dot,
right on the dot, that's massive. Like, it is funny though, because like, again, like I'm starting to appreciate more and more of the little victories, like the instinctively taking the stairs. Like that's something that never in a million years. Like I remember in a previous relationship that I was in, and we were on a cruise one time, and like on a cruise ship, like there's elevators everywhere. There's so many elevators because it's just convenient. Like you want to get to the top level of the ship, there you fucking go. And she was like adamant on like taking the stairs. And I was always just like, no, like, no, like we're on vacation.
Stairs are for work.
Yeah, stairs are for the real world. We're not in the real world. And so like I remember like I would create like 2 elevator passes for myself like for the day, because like I tried to be like a team player about it. And I would just be like, I'm cashing my elevator pass for this. And I would just take it by myself.
And I'd be like, I'll meet you up there.
Yeah, and I'd be waiting at the top. But like those are the little things that you think about that are just, again, it's like you said, like no one's going to be like big whoop about it, but I think people who go through it and people who get it understand that just the ability to move without feeling like you're about to collapse, like, because we would find any other way to skirt that. Yeah. Like to skirt that, even that temporary feeling of feeling gassed or feeling exhausted.
Or something that I used to do with stairs is like if I had to go up multiple flights of stairs, I would go up 1 flight of stairs, then walk to like a staircase on the other side of the building, go up the next flight, and do that like if I needed to, just because that walk across like the floor
would almost rest you a little bit. It would almost like calm your heart rate.
I could catch my breath in time for the next flight.
Even though you were technically taking the next steps, maybe that is good interval training.
Yeah, maybe. I
mean, maybe that's our new workout. It's just interval stairs.
Yeah, I guess with the food I was eating, it definitely didn't show up in the weight.
Yeah, and That's super funny though. And then the other thing for this week, honestly, was just like, it's something that I'm just like cognizant of now is I am getting hungry. Like I feel myself getting hungry.
Yeah.
Like whereas there was a while where like I was on such a cruise control with the shakes, it was just so I didn't think about, oh, I'm hungry, I wish I could eat X. Like,
well, I think now your brain kind of knows that like you're almost there.
Right.
Like,
and since I'm getting closer now, it's kind of just like now I'm just hungry for a turkey sandwich. Like I'm hungry for pieces of turkey, which I never thought would ever be the case in my life. Like I always thought that like if I was hungry, I would always be hungry for like 2 Baconators stat. Like,
man, it really did break down your eating habits.
Yeah, I know. We're starting at square one. And so, but
that's exciting.
Yeah, but there's something that we never have to start with square one on. And you know what it is?
It's the craving of the week.
That's right, folks. It's time for Craving of the Week.
You're goddamn right it is. I'm so happy. This is one of my favorite things to do every single week is Craving of the Week.
So what's your craving this week?
Well, you know what? It's funny. I let off last week, so I'm going to make you lead off this week.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So I decided to put a little bit of a twist on Craving of the Week because I was having a conversation with one of our loyal listeners.
Okay.
Who... They were asking me a couple weeks ago, we talked about the fat sandwiches from Rutgers.
Yes, absolutely.
So he had asked what it would be your personal, like the strawberry fat sandwich.
Ooh, like if you had a sandwich named after you, what would it be?
Right.
Oh,
so I was thinking, and I was trying to think of like all of the things that you can put on that, especially the things that you probably shouldn't put on it.
Right.
So I ended up with this list of things. So all of this on one sandwich.
Okay, hit me with it.
All right. First, I want quesadillas.
Ooh, okay. So already
chicken and cheese
quesadillas. So
right.
that's like it's still on the sub roll?
Yes.
Okay, so
yes,
the
absolutely.
first layer is chicken quesadillas.
Right. Next layer, jalapeno poppers.
Ooh, okay.
Next layer, mac and cheese.
Lots of cheese. I love it.
I know. Next layer, some Cool Ranch Doritos. You gotta give that a little crunch.
Yeah, we're like in this southwesty kind of space. I like it spicy.
Well, I'm gonna throw you through a loop here in a second. We've got cheesesteaks.
Okay, so like cheesesteak meat. Okay.
And then the spare boneless ribs that you can get from a
Holy
Chinese
shit. Oh, yeah.
restaurant.
Oh, yeah. F me up with those, dog.
And then, of course, you got to get like all the sauces in there. You got to get that barbecue, some honey mustard.
Yeah.
And I would want to put a little bit of buffalo on it,
A little
too.
bit. Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I like that sweet, and I also like that spicy.
Yeah, because you're going to get some spice with the jalapeno poppers. I really like that. Now, that's the kind of sandwich, right, where you need to find...
It's going to be a very messy sandwich.
This is a problem with ridiculous looking food is that you have to find a way to eat it in a way that somebody looks at you and just goes, well, they're just having a good time instead of just like, you have a problem.
That's not true, Seth. In all my years of eating Wawa hoagies, there was one thing that I really learned, and it was the art of eating a messy sandwich with no shame.
Like, yeah, you're just forfeiting all sense of decency.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, go barbarian, eat sandwich. Like,
you know what? Maybe I'm going to have to get like a big bib so that because mac and cheese is going to fall out. That's going to happen. You have to have a way around that. So you know what? The bib just says, you know what? Let it happen. We'll deal with it later.
Do you want to hear something super embarrassing though about a Wawa cheesesteak that I ate one time? And I've never
I've
never told anybody this before.
I'm excited.
I swear on my deceased family members, may they rest in peace. Okay. During summer 2017, there was one night I went to Wawa, right?
Without us?
Well, yeah, because you guys were all on OD, and I was technically a head staff member.
Oh yeah, so you didn't have to. sit
I
OD
was
with the plebs.
Yeah, I was off every night, baby. But I went to Wawa one night, and I'm wearing a polo. I'm wearing a polo that has the pocket in it, and I get a cheesesteak, and I never usually get a cheesesteak from Wawa. You know me, like I'm always like chicken tenders or chicken salad.
Yeah,
like,
I was surprised that you even had a cheesesteak
So
story.
I got a cheesesteak, and I'm eating it, and I'm a couple bites in, and then all of a sudden, I must have just like held it at a weird angle, and like I thought stuff had fallen out, but then I looked down on my shirt, and there's nothing. There's nothing. And I'm like, okay, good save, Seth, even though you never knew you needed to make a save. I finish the sandwich. I go back to my bunk. And then I'm just kind of like laying in bed in this polo, kind of like before I'm like ready to go to bed because it's just me in this cabin. And all of a sudden, like I just like go to like scratch an itch on my chest, and I just feel like weird pieces in this pocket. And I'm like, huh. And I reach in, and it is this saucy cheese steak pieces in my pocket. And yes, I can tell on the face you're making, and folks in audio res, you know the face that he's making and the question he's about to ask. Why don't you ask it?
Did you eat it?
Of course I did.
I knew it. No shame there. Honestly, like the pocket in the shirt, that is a great. That's a great use for it that I never thought of. The little save it for later.
Maybe you just like you want to talk about the perfect spot for finger sandwiches. Like that's where that's at. And
just put a couple chicken tenders in there.
Yeah, but that's God, I'm not proud of that. I'd never told anybody that. Like it was a significant amount of cheesesteak.
Well, and now the whole world knows.
So
what's your craving of the week this week?
So you know what? We've been taking so many trips down memory lane, right? And when you had yours last week, I was like, man, you know what? Like I might want to take that stroll. Why not? Mm-hmm. You know, like I'll absolutely do that. And so this week, were you ever big on the Magic School Bus?
I've watched it here and there,
Miss
but
Frizzle
not
and company.
Not every episode.
Essentially, what I want, the Magic School Bus could transform into anything, and so essentially, what I want is a loaf of chocolate babka, the size and functionality of the Magic School Bus.
Now, is it
me and Bay, Miss Frizzle, riding around with that Nina, eating on that babka? Like that's what I want. I need that. Chocolate babka, dude, is one of the greatest delicacies.
I don't know that I've ever had chocolate babka.
Really? It is. It's essentially it's chocolate bread. Like that's what it is. And so you're speaking my language. Like, oh, chocolate but with more carbs? Sign me up, dude. Like that is my fucking jam. And so here's the thing, though, is that the functionality is key.
Oh, of course.
I want the functionality of the Magic School Bus.
Now, question for you, because if this can turn into anything. Is there anything about it that necessarily has to be babka, or can you then change it also into like, now I want it to be a,
I want it
Wawa sub?
No, I want it to be all babka all the time, and it regenerates. Like this, if it's a Magic School Bus, it's my kind of magic, okay? And so any bite that I take just magically regenerates, and then Miss Frizzle's like, hey, Seth,
you should slow down.
And I'm going to be like, you know what, Miss Frizzle? You drive the bus. Okay, like this is my jam. But here's the thing with the Magic School Bus.
I don't think Miss Frizzle, she might give you a detention for that one.
Yeah, she might, but like that's cool. Like I'll serve that. And then guess what? I'll get back into my goddamn bus and eat more babka. But I did wonder this about the Magic School Bus and like just that show. Do you think the kids ever came in and were just like, enough? like fucking,
I want to pass the standardized tests, Miss Frizzle.
We have not signed one field trip slip this entire year, and one episode they shrunk the bus down and flew inside of a sick kid.
I was just thinking about that because what I almost want to see is like a parody movie done that's literally just the Magic School Bus, and then they like lose a kid on one of these field trips.
Do you know how easy it is to lose a kid on a field trip?
Oh, between camp and school, I know.
It is the easiest thing to do. They
try to flee.
I know, like they're just like, well, we're outside the grounds, like let's run. And the Magic School Bus, I guarantee one kid was just like, no, we're not going. And she's like, yeah, no, we're all going. We're going to take the spaceship and we're going to go to the Amazon rainforest. No, we don't need to go there.
Imagine they're inside someone's body and then like little Johnny just like he's doing something stupid and gets like lost off the bus.
Yeah.
And so he's just floating in the bloodstream and everybody comes out and they're like, oh, we're great. Where's Johnny?
Yeah. Oh, he's still inside Madison.
Do you think if they were to actually make the school bus smaller again and go back to look for little Johnny, would they even be able to find him?
Nope. He's
lost in the body somewhere.
He'd be stranded on a white blood cell just being like, well, this is not what I envisioned for my school day. And here's the thing. Where are the parents?
Yeah.
Where are the parents being like,
negligence.
Hey, Miss Frizz, what about math?
And like, I'm sorry, the school just lets her take kids off to a field trip whenever she wants.
What kind of budget do you have? like schools are so vastly underfunded. But here's the thing, is that when it comes to babka, nobody gets sick of that.
Oh, of course not.
It's chocolate babka, baby.
And I guarantee you with babka, the kids aren't going to want to leave the school bus anyway. Like, they're going to be on the school bus the entire trip. You're not going to lose a little Johnny in the bloodstream.
Exactly. So now I just want to go to, like, Russ and Daughters in New York City. Like, it's like a big bagel shop, but they also have chocolate babka.
You should talk to Elon Musk about this idea, because I feel like if there's anyone on the planet with the means
he can do it.
To do it, he will make a babka magic school bus tomorrow.
Elon, friend of the show, hope you're listening. But yeah, that's my craving of the week. And folks, guess what we have for you? We do have another fan submission. It's sort of a mashup. Okay?
Ooh.
Sort of a mashup.
I love mashups.
So this is from Hadass out in New York. And Hadass, thank you so much. We love you.
Thank you.
And so Hadass actually did it's sort of like a mashup, like fictional foods craving of the week kind of thing.
Okay, lay it on me.
So Hadass wrote into SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com. There's the plug, baby.
That's a really smart idea. People should do that.
People should do that. Hadass wrote, we know back in the late 90s, most VHS tapes would play commercials before the movie started. Mm-hmm. Correct. We can verify. But there was always this one commercial that got me hyped up. It was a snack called Gopher Cakes. They were like gooey chocolate brownie cakes, and they showed kids downing them like in whipped cream, throwing them in a blender, stuffing their faces, and just going ham. So Hadass, like, just to surmise it, she wanted these. She saw this commercial, right?
Oh, of course. I want them. Yeah, I just heard of them.
Exactly. Go for cakes. Go for cakes. Go for cakes. And her mom searched.
What are you going to go for? Go for cakes.
And her mom searched everywhere. Couldn't find them. And Hadass was livid as a child, being like, I just want Gopher cakes.
That's like me with the Krabby Patty.
Here's the twist. Hadass is watching another VHS tape one day, and her mom comes in, and it's just like, she's seeing the commercial on. Come to find out, the commercial was like a U.S. health commercial to bring awareness to childhood like obesity and diabetes. Dude, it is the perfect campaign in the history of campaigns. Like, kids are out there like, I want Gopher cakes.
And they're like, and then, no, we made a huge mistake.
The U.S. government's like, we bet you do. and any parent like watching the commercial, I'll try and rip the video from the link she sent me to put up on our social pages. The video is hilarious that if you watch it with an adult lens, you'll know it's a joke. But for kids, they're just like, give me the goddamn Gopher cakes.
But that's exactly why I feel like it's a bad idea, because, like, think about all the kids. I mean, how often are parents watching the VHSs with their kids?
Right.
Knowing kids, like, they're going to play the same VHS 1,000 times. Parents are only going to sit for that once or twice.
Right.
So you're just leaving these kids alone to, like, look at these commercials. And if they can't find these Gopher cakes, they're going to find, like, the next best thing.
But nothing would compare to just downing Gopher cakes. So Hadass, thank you so much for that. And folks, again, SFTW submissions, make sure you keep submitting. We love every single email that we get.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one. It's perfect. But you know what? We're going to move on, and we're about to square up again, because we're bringing back early on in this episode, but we're going back to my Go 3.
Let's go.
And I think we're both very ready for this. I think our energy's super high because we're moving, and why not square off a bit, you know?
And honestly, this is a setting that I feel very comfortable with.
This is your home field, because where are we going today?
Today, we're going to take a little trip to the movie theater.
We are taking a trip to the movie theater. And it's funny because we did talk about very early on, this was episode 1, where we were chirping about Twizzlers and the psychosis that comes with it, of that being your number one movie snack, which I know your mother is yelling at me right now. But we're going back.
Yeah, she wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah, we're going back to the movie theater. We're going back to my Go 3, and we're really excited because, you know what? It's been, I think I can give you the win for last time.
Yeah.
It was very, very close, but I'm inclined to give you that win because you're trying to aggregate from like Instagram, from Facebook, and from Twitter.
You don't need to justify yourself, Seth. I'll always take the win.
Yeah, I know you will. So we're going back to the movie theater. We're doing 3 things.
Quick ground rules, though, because I feel like we need to really set this up first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Popcorn, we're just going to kind of take that as a given.
Yeah, popcorn's a wash, because if you're going to the movies and not getting popcorn and not drowning it in butter and salt, then I don't necessarily need to associate with you. You know, I mean, so in a polite way. Like, being diplomatic, it's a diplomatic fuck off kind of thing, you know? And
yeah, no, and I also just feel like, you know, there's so much riding on this, you know, this whole competition we have going on with my Go 3, and this would be very unfair for whichever team gets the popcorn,
right? Because that's such a huge advantage.
Just as far as a gentleman's agreement, we're not going with popcorn. But you folks at home, when you're judging who's got the best and who's got the worst, you can imagine that popcorn in there to even out the salty. That's
the Go 4. That's option 4. So since you let off craving of the week, I'll give you home field advantage here. Okay. Where I'm starting is, like, I'm walking into the movie theater and I'm looking for shit that I know is just my movie theater thing. Like, a staple, if you will, right? Like the popcorn, I'm looking for a staple to lead me off. I'm going with that large blue icy. I'm going with it, dude.
I'm glad you said that, because I intentionally left that off my list because you put me onto that.
Yeah.
And I knew you were going to go for it.
You knew that was going to be, like, number one. When I walk into the movie theater, before I'm even thinking about the movie itself, the minute I step foot in the doors, like, I'll say it out loud to myself. I'll go, blue icy. Like it's
like it's a little crack in your voice there.
Exactly. I'm like, blue icy. I need the blue icy, and never the red icy.
No, never.
I will die on that hill. I will never get the red icy.
What about the Coca-Cola
The
icy?
Coke icy makes an appearance every 4 or 5 movies. Okay. That I can fuck with, but the red icy, no dice. It's blue icy or die for me.
Or cola,
But here's the thing with large blue icy is like you really have to like factor in your bladder.
Oh yeah,
Holy
absolutely. Those
shit.
are huge cups.
I had to pee 35 minutes into Avengers Endgame, and
there were still 2.5 hours left.
And I enjoyed that movie so much that I refused to move. But the large blue icy is such a staple for me, so that's my one.
Okay.
Number 2 now is the Snickers bites. I love me some Snickers bites. Because like most people are probably looking at Sethy here, right? And they're like, Sethy, we know that Reese's are coming.
Yeah, I was gonna say Reese's Pieces.
When it comes to the movies, like I don't want to go Reese's Pieces. You know, I can't do that. I don't know. It just doesn't really hit as hard to me.
Okay.
But you still get the chew in the Snickers bite, and you get that peanuts and caramel and chocolate. Like granted, like there's no peanut butter in there, but the Snickers bites are huge for me. I love the fact that they don't have to be unwrapped. Like you would like Reese's Minis. Like if you were to, like, I'm not trying to sit there and do surgery while I'm trying to take in the flip.
And then I always just feel bad crinkling like anything, like even like
any type of noise
food you get, crinkling in a movie is just, it's bad form.
Yeah, that is bad form and it's inconsiderate. I think
if you make an ounce of sound in a movie theater, stop going to the movie theater.
Just 1 ounce. If you cough during the movie, you're telling them to get out.
Yeah, get out.
Get out. So
who let you in here?
My last thing, right? And I think this is where I'm going to get sunk here because sometimes I say this thing and people think that I'm the biggest psychopath on the planet.
Oh boy.
It's the Whoppers malted milk balls. Like the Whoppers, the mini malted milk balls.
Okay.
And I never thought that this was a controversial snack. Okay? I never did. And I like picked them up a couple times when we would go to the movies at camp and be like, what in the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just getting malted milk balls, man. Like, what do you want from me? The way that grit malt inside your mouth just dissolves.
Yeah.
That does it for me.
See, to me, it just has like, I don't know what it is. The malt, like it tastes very good when you eat it. And then maybe something about like the aftertaste of it just like is kind of off.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's what kind of turns me off from it. But like I have done that before. I think more people would do it if they had tried it. But I feel like there's a lot of people who just have never tried a Whopper. Like,
Whoppers
Whopper
are
minis.
such a godsend for me. There would be some times where I used to get the milk carton of them. Like they would come in a milk carton, I would just like pop that shit open and I would honestly just go
pour.
straight mouth. Like just right into the mouth like I'm drinking. It's like slushy in one hand, Whopper carton in the other hand. And just like stone cold Steve Austin.
This is making me nostalgic for the way we used to eat.
So that's my 3, but you know what? Like, come on, come at me. Let's hear it.
All right, so I'll go with number 1. You know, my answer to your ices is, for me, it's all about that fountain soda machine.
Okay.
You know the one I'm talking about. It's the Coca-Cola one.
The Coca-Cola Freestyle machine?
And not every place has it, but like you got to find one that does because it really changes the entire experience. You know, oh, here are your options. Would you like a Coke or a Diet Coke or a Sprite or a Diet Sprite or a High C?
Get the fuck out of here.
That's your options at a standard
That's so early
place.
2000s, brother.
Fuck out of here. I want to get my Sprite Zero on, and I want to go first for a little bit of like the vanilla for about half, and then maybe some cherry for a little bit. And you know what? Honestly, I just mix up flavors at random, dude.
Yeah.
Like mix and match those flavors. Play with the ratios.
Right. I always hate people who are just like, if you just mix a bunch of stuff, it all just tastes the same. Hey, get off me. Like, get off my back.
Also, movie theater, I think, is the most important place to not put ice in your drink.
Ooh, I couldn't agree more.
You get more drink out of it always. But in this case, you don't want to be drinking that before it melts. You know, you're going to be in this movie for 2.5, 3 hours.
Very true.
You don't want to end up like Seth 30 minutes into Endgame having to pee.
Exactly. Like bladder control at the movie theater with your snacks and your drinks, like it's pivotal. It's an art form, if you will.
So if you're budgeting your drink correctly and you have ice in there, it's going to be all watery like halfway through that movie.
Yeah, fuck that.
Get that ice out of there. Fill it up to the top, to the brim,
and
Seth.
Always top etiquette, right? Top movie etiquette. Like if you are a movie pro, you are hanging onto that cup. You are walking out of the theater. You're refilling it as you walk out and get to your car.
100%.
I remember one time walking out of a movie. I went to go see the second Kingsman movie, right? And I went by myself because nobody wanted to go see it with me. I was at home and I was just like, fuck it, I'll go see it myself.
That was me for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Right. And so I wanted to go see it. And so I went and I saw it. I got my blue icy. And I'm walking out of the theater with the cup, and I go and I'm at the machine, just filling it up, and like this employee is right there, just saw me walk out of the theater, and I just look at him, and he looks at me, and I don't know why I panicked because it's free refills, and I just go, sorry about this. And swear to God, the dude looks at me and he just goes, why did you just apologize to me? And I was like,
I don't give a fuck. I'm making minimum wage. I don't care if you're taking soda from AMC theaters.
This kid was no less than 3 years younger than me. And he's like, why? And
why is this older dude just like apologizing to me?
Here's Seth Fullbeard just being like, sorry about taking your slushie. And he's like, it's nothing to me. It is nothing to me.
I feel like we're kind of in that awkward age where we feel so young that we still feel like we have to like apologize or justify everything we do, but we're also older than like a lot of the people
that we're apologizing to.
Yeah. And so it's really just this worst of both worlds kind of situation.
Yeah, that's a millennial.
You can't
struggle.
even be like, oh, I'm just too young to know how to properly interact with people.
Right, exactly. Like, and the internet definitely didn't play a role in that. But
so my second one. Going to the candy land, it is Milk Duds.
Okay, Milk Duds.
That was always my candy of choice in the movie theater as a kid. So for me, a big part of that is the nostalgia.
Right.
As opposed to like having Milk Duds now, which like Milk Duds don't excite me today like they did when I was 10.
Right. But
they're still really good, and the movie theater is the only like place I could ever think of eating them.
I have such a soft spot in my heart for Milk Duds. It's just like I imagine eating them now and just the grind on my teeth.
Yeah, you got to be careful as an adult because like when
those
you're
are
a kid,
longevity
you don't understand
thing.
The teeth thing, but like I feel like as an adult it gets stuck everywhere in every crevice.
And then like 3 weeks later, there's some dud. You know, there's just some dud.
Just save it for later. I didn't have a pocket in my shirt.
I think that's a really good choice.
And then my third one is cookie dough bites.
Oh, the cookie dough bites.
Those are like
so. Ooh. How you left off icy because I put you on that. I kind of was like, well, he's gonna go with cookie dough bites, and I figured you would, and that's why popcorn is such a wash. I feel because like you're gonna get popcorn regardless. Mm-hmm. Because when you showed me cookie dough bites in the popcorn, my life changed for the better that day.
I still remember where I tried it for the first time. It was a day off in 2014, and I went with a couple of our friends to see Guardians of the Galaxy, and we put in. I think at that point it was like M&Ms with the popcorn, and that was like my introduction to like the swalty of candy popcorn.
Love that swalty.
And you know, after that it was a wrap. Like I tried it with like every single candy I could try. I mean, obviously only the chocolatey ones because I'm not a psychopath putting Sour Patch Kids into my popcorn.
Yeah, that's I think that's probably a minimum of 2 years in prison in my administration. Yeah, no, that's not allowed. I don't like that. Actually, you know what? I'll let it go because we don't yuck anybody's yum.
Exactly. Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, exactly. We do not yuck your yum. But you know what's funny with the cookie dough bites, right? Mm-hmm. Is that I wish they just came in a different packaging.
Yeah, I don't like how you open up the box and then there's a bag inside the box.
Right.
Like if you have that bag, why did you need the box in the first place? And if you have the box, why do you need that bag in the first place?
Or just take out my seat and replace it with like a Rubbermaid trash can and fill it with cookie dough bites, and I'll sit in that seat. Like I'll sit in that bin.
That would actually, I don't think that's a bad idea though, as if they were to like put in like the nice armrests. If you have like one of those
exactly.
That, put a little trash can.
Give me a fucking cup holder, dude, and I'm set.
Give those ushers at the movie theater a little bit of a break, because like walking out of those theaters is just, I feel bad for them based off of how terrible moviegoers are.
Yeah, no, God.
Just like popcorn everywhere.
Folks always have good movie theater etiquette, and I think this one's really competitive.
I think so too.
I think we're gonna have a really contested, heated, and I know
I am jealous of the icy because I feel like icy is such a great staple.
Oh, man, I love that icy. I want an icy so bad. But you know what's gonna be funny is that we're gonna put this up on social for people to like debate about it, and more than 20% of the response will be like, "You both suck. You both are terrible at this," and we'll be like, "Well, it's not your show," and then and then we just go from there.
Maybe if you wanted to try it, you should have submitted something to our email.
Exactly. And so that's another Go 3. That's another environment down. And folks, of course, we need you to fire up your engines and let us know.
Yeah, I need to know.
What's your Go 3? Like,
because we're now 1-1 here, right?
I know.
This is a tiebreaker right now.
Yeah, this is a tiebreaker. Like, this is a big one. But you know what? With that, we're gonna move on into our main topic of the day and the title of this episode, and it's called Better Together. Better Together. Now, Barry, we do this show together.
Yeah.
We have lost weight together. We have gained weight
together.
I mean, we have done so much of this together, and we both felt that this was such an important topic to kind of bring on.
Absolutely, because one of the things about like losing weight is it's very tough just in general.
Right.
You know, to kind of get your mind there and get your actions to line up with that.
And get your physical output to be there.
Yeah. And it's so much easier when you're not doing it alone.
And I think the reason why is because you don't have to do this alone, but I think so many people, including me, say like you can't do it alone. And but it comes off as like this very cliche kind of thing. Because of course it would be naive to say you can't do this alone because people have done it alone. But the problem is that like odds are the craziest thought you've ever had on your weight loss journey, someone else has had that exact same thought. Like when you're at your breaking point, like when you're celebrating the highs or you're down in the depths, like during your journey.
It's very helpful to just have somebody going through the same stuff at the same time to talk to.
Well, because think of the psychology behind it all, right? Think of the psychology of weight loss in itself. As big people, we were put in very isolated situations, both mentally and physically.
Right.
Physically, we weren't the size that was conducive enough to do some of the things we wanted to do. So therefore, we're on the outside looking in. Mentally, we're looking around at all these people around us who are either super fit or even just normal, like normal, skinny, like in that realm. And that's very isolating. So what else would our mindset be when we go to change our lives of like, it's me against the world?
Right.
Kind of thing. And when you set that foundation, it's tough to kick it. Because when you're doing it by yourself, at least you don't have to confide all the fuck-ups to somebody externally. But you'll come to find out, I think, and I think you would agree with this too, that having somebody to talk about your mess ups with in a very judgmental free environment and somebody who understands what you're going through it will do wonders for you.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like it kind of works to kind of create a little bit of outside pressure, or at least that's what I found.
A little bit of accountability, probably.
Yeah. It's kind of that, like where you're doing so good with your weight loss. If I were to just like kind of give up after a month and be like ordering in, large pizzas on DoorDash again,
right?
Like that would have felt really shitty for me to do. So like that was never even an option.
And so that's a question that I have for you actually, because I am interested in your thought process when I started the shakes, and I think I was probably 2 weigh-ins in, maybe, or 1 weigh-in in.
You were 1.
I think I was 1 weigh-in in when you decided to really start.
Yeah, well, when you had first broached to me your idea that what you were going to do, and this was a couple months before you had done it.
Right.
In my head, I was like, yeah, that works because, I'll just try to lose weight too.
Yeah.
And I kind of had it like there in my head. But then as we got closer, you started to like see the doctors and start to do stuff.
It started becoming real.
Set up, and I'm just still sitting there ordering DoorDash like la da 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 da
right.
da. And one of the things honestly that had kind of gotten in my head was something that one of our friends had like said to us when I had first moved up here, was about like, oh, so you and Seth are going to be living together. Are you guys going to like do something to like not get huge
to save yourselves?
Yeah. like you're gonna go there, he's gonna be there, you guys are gonna eat, and you're gonna eat, and you're gonna eat,
and then we're gonna watch movies,
and then we're gonna watch movies, and then we're gonna eat again. And that was kind of in my head, and we basically literally just did that.
Yeah, we did that for the better part of a year and a half.
And yeah, and so in my head it was kind of like, well, this would be a way, if we were to both lose the weight like this, that would kind of be the way of like proving them wrong,
right?
Kind of like getting.
Because that was the common thing amongst people we knew, is like people just heard of us moving in together and they were like, it's going to be a food palace, which you know what? They were right.
It was.
It was Caesar's Palace, like right here. But I do think that once we got into that zone together, we fed off of each other in a way of like, I always knew that like there was no way that I'd be able to come home and somehow circumvent my shakes without you having to find out about it. I could have easily told you from day one of the shakes of like, yeah, I'm allowed to treat myself every now and again, like as long as the majority of it shakes, and I could have just straight up, you would have believed that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you would have just been like, oh yeah, I guess that's part of the program. And then I could have come home with something like, haha, it's cheat day. Like, and then just like shove a sandwich into my face, even though I wasn't supposed to do that. And so I think that doing this together, it provides the accountability, but morally, it's the support.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the support is like the biggest thing I think that everybody needs on a weight loss journey, and that support can come in any way, shape, or form.
Even if it's the support of being able to like confide about your fuck ups or your almost fuck ups,
right?
Because I know like there have been times over the last 6 to 8 months where you come and you said, yeah, like you know, whatever happened today, and like I really had to resist just like going to the drive-through or
Right.
like doing something like that. And you know, it was always very helpful. First of all, it was very helpful for me to see you struggle with it,
Right?
Because you usually do a good job at like not really being phased by it, from what I can see. So then when you do have those things, it makes me feel better about like also having to resist going to the drive-through.
It's a very humanizing journey, and I think that. Well, think about it with anything, right? Think about it with us. This was always meant to work as like a better together thing, because look at where we grew up and spent so many years. It was at camp. Like, we were conditioned that we're in this fight together. We're all on the same page in this fight, grinding at fitness and looking to the person next to you, seeing them on their last legs and being like, they get what I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't, like, how dumb were we to not try and just take that and apply it to the outside world?
Wait, you'll never guess. I have this great idea of what we could do. We could like try to lose weight together.
Right, exactly. And granted,
novel,
revolutionary concept, Nobel Prize. But geographic locations did play a huge role in that. And so now that we're here together, we got like the great binge out of the way. That era.
That's a great like title for the chapter of that part.
It's the prelude. It was the great binge. And and now we're at this point where it's almost second nature to us, but we're just essentially doing what we like, having that kind of drive that we had like potentially as campers at camp, like with anyone who was around us, people who were in that fight with us, and just providing that support out here, which is 10 times better because we have the ability to modify things the way that we need to modify them.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very hard when you're on something that's like prescribed to you by other people, when you're able to fiddle with it. And I'm sure you're going to get a lot more of kind of like real experience with that, especially as you fold things in and you do start to like have a lot more leeway with what stuff you eat and how you eat and when you eat and that stuff. Being able to have kind of like control over the fine details of everything
is so much better.
It's a great way to kind of set yourself up to like, this is how I can live for the rest of my life.
Right, exactly. We're not going point A to point B. How can I go from point A to whenever?
Because for as successful as camp was when people lost the weight, that was always the trick where, you know, now you go home.
Yeah,
like now it's on you.
That was the real chapter. And
how do you handle that?
A lot of us struggled with it. Almost all of us struggled with it because it was such a perfect and awesome environment for us to be for those 8 weeks. And then we'd come home and we would all keep in touch, but it's much easier. Like it's much easier in person to keep each other accountable and support each other in terms of a weight loss journey than it is through like Skype or FaceTime.
Absolutely.
And that's the big thing. And so I find it so funny that this is where we're at because we're divulging all of these personal details throughout all of these episodes. And like, we're really just taking this external support. And then one day we were like, let's turn it into a fucking podcast. and so we hope that people can listen to us at least and just be like, yeah, they get they get the same things that I'm getting.
Yeah. And you know what? If you're out there on your own, you know, journey with weight, you know, if you don't have somebody there to do it with you to be better together,
use us. Like, we try to respond to literally everything that we get. Like the submissions email, when people send like one-off submissions and stuff, like those are tough to get back to during the workday. But whenever someone reaches out on Instagram, like with like a weight related thing, like we're always on it. And we always try to be on it because what's the point in doing, you should have as much support and as many people around you, like build your team and make us members of your team. Like, we have no issues with that because this is stuff that we want to talk about anyway.
Absolutely.
Especially when it's so shitty to talk about it in any other circumstance. So why not come fucking laugh with us for a little bit?
Exactly.
And so that's the overarching theme of Better Together. And I'm just so thrilled that we had this moment of clarity.
Yeah. And just on that last note before too, anybody who might feel any shame about telling us the nitty-gritty details about your weight loss journey, you can just give yourself a listen to our episode about DoorDash confessionals.
Exactly.
And know that there is literally no amount of judgment that we could make on any other human being.
I feel like out of all the people in the world on this planet, I really think that someone could tell us any kind of like binge eat or weight gain or something.
It would take a lot to surprise me.
Nothing would faze us anymore, I think, at this point, because we've been through that. And honestly, that's kind of where it's at. And I think it's very, very comforting to know that like there are people out there who have had those same things. And that definitely keeps you going. And so that's Better Together. I'm really happy that we did that. I think that's a very important thing to cover for anybody who's either just starting or plateauing or towards the tail end.
Yeah, because I gotta say, I feel like if I was trying to do this myself, there is no chance I would have made it this far.
None. Same here. If I was trying to do this alone, I would have broken so many times. And so that's why we're just on the 1s and 2s every goddamn week, baby.
Yeah.
That's what we do. But you know what? I like this idea of being together. You know, I love being together every week on the 1s and 2s, but it all comes back to camp. Right? And we've been very camp heavy lately, so why not get a little bit camp heavier? Let's go back to the Fat Camp Follies.
Woohoo. I feel like it's been a long time since we've done an official Fat Camp Follies.
Well, because we've done a lot of like camp-related things, like the MTV episode, like the My Bonus episode, and we've had so many camp things, so that camp has never been put on the back burner, but it's nice to get back to the classics. Let's go to the Fat Camp Follies, and we did come up with a good title for this one. What's the title of our Fat Camp Follies this week?
Our title for this week is Smuggler's Cove.
Smuggler's Cove.
A little homage to one of our favorite little Pocono eateries.
Yeah, exactly. A restaurant on Route 611 called Smuggler's Cove, which is a wonderful place.
Oh, it is.
That's a very good food.
And,
coconut shrimp, really good there.
And we're going to be talking about smuggling and the kinds of contraband stuff that we would see at camp.
Just really all of the contraband that we would encounter, because we kind of touched on this space a little bit with the secret stash, but that was
like
more
where
for us
we
as
hide
counselors.
it. Like
that was like, as counselors, like, where am I going to keep shit away from my kids? The kids go full Mission Impossible. They go MI3 to get stuff into camp.
Honestly, it reminds me of watching like Boardwalk Empire and seeing like the liquor smuggling operations,
like the distractions that were given, the prestige of getting stuff into camp was so wild to me. I have never seen something given more effort than smuggling things into camp,
and especially like as a counselor and a group leader, like, you know, they check the packages when packages come in to make sure that you're not getting stuff. So the campers need to get very clever about how they get their things hidden if they're sneaking something in.
Very, very creative.
And then we have to get even cleverer to catch them.
Right. And then you're just wondering who on the outside is doing this.
Oh.
And you're going to be shocked at who some of these culprits are.
Can I please start? Oh.
Yeah, start me off with one. Give me a highlight.
All right. So this one is like fresh on my mind. It was the last summer I was there. One of my campers, there was like a mom's camp on camp that mom, like, you know, parents could go
some of the moms
for,
could come
for
live.
like a week.
Yeah.
You know, this kid's mom was there, and he had a legit, like, he was Al Capone with his operation. Like, he had like he had gum, he had Crystal Light, he had Mio, he had like the whole 9 yards. And we could not figure out how is he getting this stuff.
Right.
And we flat out asked the mom, like, are you getting? Nope. Okay. Well, he gets a package. This package is from his father.
Okay.
And we open it up. We look through, you know, certain things like socks. You got to check the socks.
Always got to check the socks. Got to check the underwear, as weird as that is.
Yeah,
people think that if you put it in underwear, they're not going to check it. It's like, oh, I don't want to.
And the only thing I didn't check was there was a unopened box of like a board game.
So it was still completely encased in plastic wrapping.
Completely encased, like completely, right? And you know, if something's already wrapped up like that,
it's like it's from the manufacturer. Yeah.
Well, it turns out
you've got to be fucking kidding me.
The operation was to open up the plastic wrap, put candy inside, or not candy, but all the other stuff inside, and then seal it back up in plastic wrap.
They rewrapped it in plastic.
They resealed it. Like, and I feel like you need to have like a specialized machine to
like,
do
how
that.
do you even do that?
Like that's like, I got to go on Amazon and spend $80 to get something that lets me do that.
That is fucking bonkers. I didn't even know about this one.
Oh yeah, you weren't there that summer. But like, and we literally like had to call this camper up with his mom and sit with both of them in the field house and be like, look, like this is a problem. And like the mom would always get defensive about it, and she'd be like, "Oh, well, he just wanted some gum." But it's like, and it's like, look, like at the end of the day, gum doesn't sound bad, right?
No, of course not.
Until you realize that this kid is taking a $2, $1 pack of gum, and then reselling it for $5 or $10.
Holy shit! What a markup!
Or a box of like the Crystal Light, like a box of like 4 things of Crystal Light is like 99 cents. You could sell each of them for like
Jobs
$10.
Over here.
And like a lot of these kids, like their parents give them money for the summer, but like they don't have a concept of like value or anything. And they're at camp, like they want some flavored water. They're gonna spend $10 to get their flavored water.
That's camp pricing, baby.
Yeah, and then it's like now we have a problem because now we have kids that are like, oh, we spent money on this and we want our money back.
Well, yeah, now you have
well, now we've got this kid who like earned the money through an underground smuggling ring.
Now you have a sector of commerce that exists in your civilization here.
And don't let the IRS know because I don't think there was any sales tax on any of that shit.
Yeah, there's no income statement there.
The feds are going to come in and kick down the cabin doors.
That is so wild to me that it's like a full-on black market. And like, of course, like we had versions of that like when we were campers a little bit. Right. And so I remember personally, like, what was the end result here actually for this kid?
So the end result, I mean, the mom was like leaving in a couple days because mom's camp didn't last forever.
God, that's the worst.
And after that sealed up one of the big leaks. And then he ended up leaving like a week after that. But he left. And then for about a week or two, like kids would talk and there were like rumors. And this sounds so fucking ridiculous that like it almost like it's absurd. Kids were talking about this like it was buried treasure. Like he had a stash of stuff that he didn't take with him. And so kids were like talking about this. And like we tried our best to be like, oh, has anybody seen this? Does anybody have it? Like where would it be? Like, and we searched because we were like, let's search around the bunk.
It's the great white buffalo of
Well, and then wouldn't you know, like 3 or 4 weeks after he had left, like we're at the end of the summer now. Right. And now suddenly we're hearing that like somebody found the stash and is like taking up the operation.
It's like D.B. Cooper's treasure.
And it turns out that it was like literally hidden underneath one of the bunks, like in a bag. Like they kind of stuffed underneath a bunk and like kind of hid so that you can't really see it.
That's wild.
But like there was like these little things that like if you remove them, you can like crawl underneath the bunk. And it had, I guess, fallen off from like a storm or something. But like he had replaced it there so that it didn't look broken.
That's wild to me. That's honestly, that could be a movie in itself. And like, granted, like
I really hope that kid's doing great now because let me tell you something. If he was able to do that at like 10 years old, like this was a young kid.
That kid's gonna be a billionaire.
Like, yeah, keep your eyes on him.
Yeah, he's gonna get it off the backs of other people, but he's gonna be a billionaire. But like, I always remember as a camper, 2 instances like stick out to me the most. Right. Mm-hmm. One was I get a package sent, and this was when we were at the camp that we had met at. This was 2009 though. And so I had people from Camp Kingsmont and Camp Empire Lake who were sending me just like letters and stuff, like care packages and stuff. And then one of my friends, she sent up just a small little kind of Amazon package, but it wasn't really an Amazon package. It was like one of those envelopes. And there was something in it, and I'll never forget the counselor who was in the field house, Schwartz. And that's what and Schwartz has the package in his hands. And he's feeling around, and he's like, "What's in here?" And I'm like, "I got to be honest, man. Like, so many other camp people have been sending me stuff that it's probably I'm like, it's probably contraband, and like, I'm cool. Like, you can take it." And since I was so cool about it, he opens it up, and it's a bag of Cheez-Its, just a small singular bag of Cheez-Its. And he's looking at the Cheez-Its, looking at me, looking at the Cheez-Its, looking at me, and I'm like, man, like, I just don't want any trouble. Like, it's all good. Because this was my first summer there.
Right, so you didn't even know, like, how harsh it was.
Exactly, and so I didn't want to even chance it. And I was like, it's all good, man. Like, it's a bag of Cheez-Its. And he goes, "You can have one."
Oh, how generous.
And so he opens the bag and lets me take one. And I'm like, well, you know what? It's better than nothing.
That was why I was so good and like always so harsh on like trying to find contraband, is because if you found contraband,
it's free stuff.
Like, yeah, like you get like, oh, you got 10 packs of gum. Great. Now I now have 10 packs of gum.
Right. Like, exactly. The other big thing was this one's a little rough, but there was one counselor in particular in 2009 who really liked the apparel that was brought to camp. Shoes, shorts,
oh no,
t-shirts. Loved it. Like, because some of these kids come in with really nice stuff. And for about 1 week, he was like, "Hey, how attached are you to those Kobe Hyperdunk sneakers?" And I was like, "Not that attached. Why?" And because I'm thinking he wants to buy them. And he goes, "See that duffel bag? I could fill that duffel bag with some stuff that you want." And I traded a pair of sneakers. I traded
for food.
Yeah, I traded a pair of sneakers for Ritz Bits and Oreos and a bag of tortilla chips.
I mean, I gotta say that is both one of the most underhanded and disgusting things I've ever heard, but also like
you get it.
That is like great bang for your buck.
It's so bad. Like, I was like, oh man, like these shoes are kind of on their last legs. Like, sure, like absolutely, man, take them.
How much money were those shoes worth?
They were probably like $60 at Kohl's at the time. Like when I got them, I definitely didn't get $60 worth of food. But at that point, you're just like so all in.
I was thinking sneakerhead. Like I was thinking like these are like the $800 shoes that I look at. And
not even close.
Money for it?
He was only there for one summer.
Oh, really?
and I'll never. And he was awesome. Like I freaking loved him as a counselor, of course. But it was just like in retrospect, looking back, I was like, oh damn, I gave away a pair of shoes for Ritz Bits, Oreos, tortilla chips, and like some. Like Swedish fish.
That's how you know.
Yeah, exactly. I should have known back then.
You know, and it's funny because these like smuggling rings, they didn't always have to be food. Because like one thing that I remember very vividly was the summer of knockarounds. Oh. And I think anybody who went to camp at 2011.
Yeah, it was 2011. They were big knockaround sunglasses,
and they like there was nothing really super special about them.
They were just
they were like nice,
cheap sunglasses with different colors,
right? But like for some reason that was like the thing that summer. That was the fad that like everybody wanted these knockarounds, and it was kind of hard to get them, especially because Amazon hadn't quite exploded in like
in convenience yet. Yeah,
there was one camper who he had to have been like 13, 14, like he wasn't even like that like old, who literally just like he must have gotten like a bulk like.
Just a bulk tin of them,
and he had literally dozens of them, and he probably got them for like $5 a piece, and all said and done,
like a big bulk.
And he just ended up reselling them all for like $20.
$20 a pair.
And I remember I was a junior counselor and trying to like barter with this like
with this 14-year-old kid,
fucking 14-year-old kid. But like junior counselors, we didn't get paid. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like broke as fuck, and I'm just like, I really like those glasses. He's like, oh well, $20. I'm like, might take me a bit to get that, but like, what if I do? It's like, no, $20. And I'm just like, this little snot-nosed kid. Like,
so then,
like, don't you know who I am?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm Strawberry.
I'm gonna give you ETB.
This was always such a wild aspect of camp, but always one of the most fun aspects of camp. Of like seeing what, like, I always loved seeing how creative people could be.
Honestly, that's the only like avenue of innovation in a summer camp, right? Like,
I really do think that like you're setting up entrepreneurial ventures and trying to sneak in food. Like that's really the two things. You are either the person trying to sneak in the food, or the person trying to set up an actual empire. But that's that's another.
Or you're one of those like idiot kids that's like spending $10 for like 4 packs of Crystal Light. Like, here you go.
You're paying New York City markups in the Poconos, dude. Like, you fucking psychopath. But that's another really quality Fat Camp Follies that I'm so excited that we got to revisit, because when's the last time we really like went into the ins and outs of contraband,
I don't know. What do you think would happen if we were to just like right now just put a bunch of shit in a box and then like hide some candy in there and then just like ship it to a random kid?
That'd be such a dick move. I would never do that. But you know what? We're gonna go into closing thoughts, and I think that on the spirit of being better together, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's important for everybody who's on this journey, and whether it's a weight loss journey, maybe it's a fitness journey of some sort, or maybe it's just a personal growth kind of journey, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. A lot of the lessons we're learning about this weight loss journey can be applied to a lot of other things.
So much. And like, I encourage you, like, do you remember in Parks and Rec when Leslie's giving her speech at the very end at the University of Indiana, where she like gets her doctorate, and she goes, go find your team and get to work. Like, your team allows you to do work that's worth doing because you're sharing it. There's a collective there. And I think that that's the most important. Like, who doesn't love celebrating successes with somebody?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And also, who doesn't like at least appreciate digging yourself out of a hole with somebody there to reach their hand down and help pull you up? And I think that's the most important thing. So, folks, thanks for listening to another episode of Sorry for the Wait. We had a ton of fun with this one, and I'm just so happy that you're all along for the ride with us. And so, again,
because you make our podcast better together.
Hey-o. Ooh, good plug. I fucking love that. So, folks, please, come on, get in on the action. We love getting all the submissions. SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com.
Also, make sure to follow us on every social media platform you have.
And just to take it back to submitting even more, leave us a voicemail, 774-855-9433.
And of course, please, we would really appreciate it if you would give us 5 stars and write a review for us on Apple Podcasts.
That would mean the absolute world to us, because we're trying to take over the world. And so, you know what, folks, for Sorry for the Wait, I'm Seth.
And I'm Strawberry.
And remember to keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, but keep your snacks the closest.